Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Queen Elizabeth, A Day in Her Life. In our last episode, the family was in South Africa, feeling guilty because England was going through a cold freeze that winter. The trip had been set up, of course, before that winter blast came, but the king now was reluctant to leave the country. The prime minister said he should go, though. Once the family was there, they were on a tight schedule and kept busy with business, and then they were seeing the people everywhere to a warm reception. So let's see what's going on with them today. When the royal family got to Johannesburg, the Prime Minister of South Africa, Smuts, arranged a private meeting with the exiled Prince and Princess Paul of Yugoslavia. The Queen was happy to meet with them. She wrote at once to Princess Marina, Duchess of Kent, to tell her how her sister Olga was, and the Duchess was deeply grateful. She wrote to the Queen, "It's sweet of you to write the way you do, so full of heart." An important moment came afterwards, the end of their trip. Princess Elizabeth came of age on her 21st birthday. On April 21st, a public holiday in South Africa, she took the salute at a march past of the military garrison in Cape Town. She attended a large youth rally, and then in the evening she made a remarkable broadcast pledging to devote her life to her people. The princess stated, "I should like to make that dedication now. It is very simple. I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and the service of our great imperial commonwealth to which we all belong. But I shall not have enough strength to carry it out, this resolution, unless you join in it with me, as I now invite you to do. I know that your support will be unfailingly given. God help me to make good my vow, and God bless all of you who are willing to share it." And then I have to say that the princess sure did dedicate her life to her country. She was remarkable. Queen Mary listened in London and wrote to the Queen that the broadcast was perfect, and of course I wept. The night ended with fireworks by the ocean and a ball for the younger generation. It was attended by Field Marshal Smuts, who gave a speech in honor of the princess and presented her with a diamond necklace. The next day, the Queen was pleased to receive an honorary degree of Doctor of Laws from the University of Cape Town. The tour was finally over. When they embarked from Cape Town, Smuts and the King made warm formal speeches of farewell. The Queen thanked the women and children of South Africa for their welcome. Tot ziens, or so long, or au revoir. Both King and Queen said in African, a phrase the Queen liked and would use throughout her life. On the way back home, Queen Elizabeth wrote a long letter to May Elphinstone about the natural glories of the political difficulties in South Africa. She had enjoyed the tour. She thought she had been exhausted by it and was looking forward to being home. A little bit of England and Scotland will be heaven, she said. Now they, the King and Queen, were sailing back to face difficult and emotional issues, the continued lack of necessities for the British people. There were radical social changes by the government, the independence of India, which was the jewel in the crown of the empire, and the independence of their elder daughter, who was much loved. It started to become clear to them during the trip how Princess Elizabeth felt towards Prince Philip, and they knew that it was deep and real. Tommy Lascelles thought that the Princess Elizabeth was one of the great successes of the trip. She has come on in the most surprising way, and all the right direction. She's got all the Princess Mary's solid and endearing qualities, plus a perfectly natural power of enjoying herself without any trace of shyness. She had a good, healthy sense of fun. Moreover, when necessary, she could take on the old bores with much of her mother's skill, and never spares herself in that exhausting part of royal duty. She is businesslike, and she developed a technique of going up behind her mother and prodding her in the Achilles tendon with the point of her umbrella when time was being wasted in unnecessary conversation. On July 10, 1947, a statement was released from Buckingham Palace that the King and Queen announced the betrothal of their dearly beloved daughter, Princess Elizabeth, to Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten, R.N., son of the late Prince Andrew of Greece, and Princess Alice of Battenberg, to which union the King had gladly given his consent. Princess Elizabeth, she was reserved, and the Queen never encouraged the academic instruction of her daughters, and each of them, particularly Princess Margaret, regretted this. Both princesses felt undereducated, although Marion Crawford had been a conscientious governess, and the addition of other teachers such as Henry Martin and Tony de Bellaigue had broadened their horizons. Their training had been impeccable, and this had come from their parents, as they went with them on more public engagements. In March 1946, Princess Elizabeth had made a successful visit to Northern Ireland. The Queen's sister, Rose, Lady Granville, whose husband, Wisp, was governor, wrote to the Queen saying that her daughter looked lovely and inherited all her mother's wonderful gift of looking as if she was loving it all. She told her sister that you must be very proud of her, darling. I would be. The Queen was proud, but she was worried about the press intrusion into the lives of her daughters. The press liked the stories on romance, so they were interested in Prince Philip and the princess. Prince Philip returned to Britain in early 1946, and he and the princess saw more of each other. Queen Mary told Lady Arley that the young couple had been in love for at least 18 months, but the King and Queen felt that she was too young to be engaged yet. They wanted her to see more of the world before committing herself, and to meet more men. She was only 19, and one is very impressionable at that age. Prince Philip was 5 years older than the princess and was determined. In June of 1946, he was serving as an instructor at HMS Glendower, a Navy training establishment in North Wales. He wrote the Queen apologizing for inviting himself to the palace. He said a small voice kept saying, "Nothing ventured, nothing gained." He said, "I did venture, and I gained a wonderful time." In early September 1946, the Queen invited him to Balmoral, and it was during this holiday in the hills that he and the princess decided to become engaged and to tell her parents. The prince was in love, but he wasn't docile. He apologized to the Queen for getting carried away in their discussion of politics. The prince's views were way to the left of those by the Queen, and he concluded that trying to shift her from her instinctive conservatism was counterproductive. His strong views weren't the issue. She was supportive of the engagement, but it gave her emotion. She prayed that her daughter had made the right decision. She thought that she had, but Prince Philip was untried as yet. Britain was victorious after the war, but there was bread rationing, controls on imports of gas, tobacco, and paper were imposed. The Dominions began to send food parcels to the mother country, and in New Zealand, branches of Women's Institute decided to adopt and sustain their English counterparts. Clement Attlee announced a crisis austerity plan for the British economy. Food rations were cut further, foreign travel allowances for British citizens were abolished. A coal strike in Yorkshire closed the Sheffield steelworks, and the king was appalled by all that was happening to the country. In many ways, he thought the situation was even worse than in wartime. He felt powerless to do anything to help, he confessed to his mother. The press became more and more demanding. Norman Hartnell begged the king and queen for help, declaring that he was being persecuted by the reporters for refusing to reveal details of the princess's wedding dress. Palace Press Secretary Commander Richard Colville sent a note to the Queen suggesting a formal statement to the press that it was for the princess's wish that the details of her dress be kept secret. The press secretary told the press that he wasn't prepared to publicize the private lives of the royal family. He was prepared to provide details of the family's charitable and welfare works. So I'm going to stop the video here. The royal family had a good time in Africa, but they were also anxious to get home. The king and queen gave the announcement that their beloved daughter Elizabeth was engaged to Prince Philip, and they were concerned that the princess was too young, but they could see they had a love for each other. And I love the close bond of this family, and the book Queen Mother has been such a great adventure, learning about the Queen Mother and her life and seeing the life of the royal family through the years. And I can't wait to learn more. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you did, if you could give it a thumbs up, it would be greatly appreciated. I created a list of merchandise from Amazon that I thought you might be interested in, and if you click on the link, it takes you to the Amazon page. If you purchase it, I get a small commission that is of no extra cost to you. More importantly, I wish everybody a great day, and tune in again soon for another episode of Queen Elizabeth, A Day in Her Life. Thank you. Bye.